going on? My name is Stephen Howson. This is our kid, Abdullah. Premier League is back, and do you know what? Jealously watching City, Liverpool, spanking a right load of goals and thought, it's just not going to go down like that for us, is it? I thought we'd probably get a win. I was confident of the win.
Yeah.
I wasn't confident of beating Chelsea 4-0. And I allowed myself to get giddy a little bit because it is one of those people that's... Look, there's 3 teams going for that top 4, let's be honest, 4th space. And we've put one of them away with comfort today. Did you enjoy that?
I enjoyed that, and like you said, I think it's one of them early 6-pointers. It's one of them 6-pointers you have at the season. You know, you get your top 3, Spurs, Liverpool, City. They all want to get one on each other, and then it's us on for that 4th spot and getting one early doors on 4-0. And I think I wouldn't have been as happy if we'd left the game and won 4-0 going towards the end of that game, not being so convincing. But I think the last 20 minutes showed when we grew into the game that there are things to iron out.
Is that the fitness, do you think?
I think, I'm not too sure it's the fitness. I just think that it's a new system. We've got Maguire, who's played his first game for us. You know, like you said earlier, he's probably taken more photos with MUTV than
he's probably spent more time doing photos and interviews than he has training with the lads.
Exactly, and he's come in and he's settled down and put in one of the best defensive performances we have seen at Old Trafford in a long time. He did the basics well. When he was aggressive, he always won the ball. And I think just overall, you know, having the new players in, it sort of gives me the confidence that we just needed to settle down and iron things out in the coming games. But 4-0 against Chelsea, wow.
Buzzing. I don't know if it feels like I'm a bit dejected because I've just sat in traffic for like an hour.
Yeah,
that was gross. So apologies for the late start. We literally get back from Old Trafford as fast as we can to do this. And we're in the city centre. It's not like we're out in the sticks anywhere. We are literally like 3 minutes from Piccadilly Station away. But the traffic was... We sat in the car park for half an hour. That's how bad the traffic was. So I do apologise for the late start. Thank you guys for sticking with us. Give us a like if you think that this United team is now capable of getting into the top 4. And smash the down button. If you don't, how about that? Keep it nice and simple. We'll total them up and we'll see what everybody thinks. 4 or 5 goals first half. What's someone on about there? More like 1 or 2. Well, yeah, it was 1 or 2, wasn't it? I predicted 3-1 win yesterday, so I seen goals. Yeah, I did see goals, but I don't know. 4-0 is a lot more convincing than 3-1.
Yeah,
for obvious reasons.
Because 3-1 could be, you know, it's end to end. 2-1, you get a last minute chance, you put it away. It's 3-1, but that second half for me was convincing, especially after we reached that 10 minutes and then we grew into it.
Do you think that there was anything changed at half time, or do you think it was that we kept plugging away doing something? Because in the first half, I was not convinced with Marcus. I thought he was quite wasteful in possession and trying a bit too many flicks. Needs more quality out of him. Wasn't convinced with Pogba. Again, a bit slow in possession, trying too many flicks. I think when they both simplified their game, I think Marcus took his second brilliantly. Yeah, absolutely brilliant finish. When those two started to simplify their game, we saw a better Manchester United. I mean, what do you guys think at home? What was the turning point? Was it a case of more is more? Was it a case of just keep plugging away? I thought Chelsea was very good in the middle. And we knew they were going to be good in midfield because their midfield is just simply better than ours. Where was the game won for you, do you think?
For me, I think it was just really between Chelsea's defence and our attack because they couldn't handle us. And I think not many sides, if any, can handle that level of attack and, you know, that fluid attack as well, you know, of Martial, Rashford. And something did change in the second half for me. Martial and Rashford, there's a thing where we tried it in pre-season where one of them would go central, then the other would go out to the left. Yeah. And if you watch the goals for both of them, the one that Martial scores and Rashford in the second half, you see them exactly interchanging really well. And I think they were different. I think they're still feeling those roles a bit more and trying to figure out what they're meant to do. And they'll only grow into it. But I think we really won having that fluid attacking line and then bringing on Dan James as well.
Which is what we said. Yeah. Dan James, last 20 minutes, start to really put a team on the back.
That's where I'd bring him in as well. I agree with that.
And Mr. Jones in the comments says, Maguire was colossal. Him and Wan-Bissaka are beasts. Patreon massive. Get your questions in and we'll be coming to you guys in a second. Rory says, we counter-attack and press really well. Midfield was poor at helping out defensively in the first half, though. I thought the game at times passed Scott McTominay by a little bit. And I don't know if that's because he's partnered with Pogba in that 6. maybe they need it. Maybe we need that extra person in there because we are playing with a 10. And I thought Jesse was very good, but sometimes the positioning of Jesse, being a number 10, was a little bit high up the pitch to help with when a team was coming through, like the way Chelsea came through, because they created a lot. They created more chances than us, as you can see there. 18 shots, 7 on target. How did we win 4-0 from that? That's mental.
Clinical. Well, as simple as you look at how many times we've spoken about Liverpool and we go, oh, they're lucky here. Oh, they've won that game. But end of the day, you got to be clinical. How many times under Sir Alex that we watched it back in the day and be like, oh, we probably shouldn't have won that, but we're going to win that. You got to be clinical. And I think Marcus and Tony today stepped up, man.
Someone says the penalty was the turning point. You're probably right. There was at some point as well, literally just before the second goal goes in, where I said to my old man, don't feel confident here at 1-0. It feels like, and Chelsea was having a bit of a period in the sun as well, and I was like, I feel like they're going to get one here before we can get a second on the cards. And then we get a second, immediately the third goes in, and you're like, all right, we're all right. We need much more composure in the middle of the park. Do you think it's composure, Jamie, or do you think it's purely quality?
I think it's more quality.
Yeah,
I think
it's quality.
We were actually composed. I think Scott McTominay, because he had to deal with a lot. You know, Jorginho and Kovacic are quality on the ball, high-level football, but he dealt with them, I think, at times really well. I think we just needed that extra quality, and Pogba, it shows that in the bigger games, you can't play that pivot, in my opinion. McTominay, Pogba. I think McTominay gets left a bit behind because Pogba takes too long on the ball. Then McTominay's got to pick up the pieces. We've got to figure out what we do in those big games. But for me, in the smaller games, you set them up as a pivot. Pogba can still burst forward and make things happen. So I'm happy with that setup, the 4-2-3-1.
Let's see questions. So here we go for the Patreon. Massive, if you want to know more about Patreon, what it's all about and all that rest of the stuff, link will be in the description below. So are we winning a quadruple, says Clemens. What do you actually think it means for us at this stage to put a result in like that? Do you think it's a case of, look, because I thought, to be honest, we had the opportunity to probably score, to probably win our first 4 or 5 games. This one and Wolves being the real big tests for us. Wolves is a huge test on Monday. What do you actually think we can do here?
I think I can see us going on winning a couple of trophies. I think a couple
of trophies. A couple of trophies,
mate. No, I don't know about quadruple, lads, but I can see us, going on and possibly picking up an FA Cup, League Cup, and winning the Europa League. If we finish top 4 and win the Europa League, that would be very impressive because of the whole setup of the Europa League and the Premier League we've spoken about before. It doesn't work in your favour, does it?
It really doesn't. And I'd love to know what the reasoning for that is, because it's a strange one. I spoke to somebody today, just on the way into the ground, one of the coaching staff at United, and I said, how fit are the lads looking? He goes, you're going to be in for a shock. He said, this is going to be a very fast from United today. And I was like, I'm excited. He goes, I think we're going to shock a few people. I think he might have been right on today's showing. I also think that Chelsea, not the best person to sort of measure yourselves against that, losing Hazard, new manager, that sort of stuff, but he was kind of right on that. I said, how long's pre-season going to go on for? How do you get that fitness into the players in just a few weeks? And he goes, pre-season's going to carry on till the end of the month. He said, we're going to be smashing them. He goes, next week they're going to get absolutely ridden because of the Wolves game coming up. He goes, we've got longer in the week. He goes, we're going to smash them. So I was like, sweet. So it looks like we're not going to see the full fruit of all this for another 5 or 6 weeks, which I think is brilliant.
Yeah.
Let's carry on with the questions then. So Mel says, how shit scared of DJ's pace? I think we've all said, haven't we? 20 minutes to go, perfect time to introduce him. A couple of people asking when the parade is. Jay says, thoughts on Andreas today? What do you reckon?
I was a fan of what he did off the ball in terms of the press. He didn't come off as that type of player for me before, and today he proved that he wants a place in that team, and that impressed me.
Ollie's at the wheel. Tell me, how good does it feel? Felt good today. Loki says, how good does it feel to have a defence again? How do we improve the midfield? I think if we'd have signed Herrera and Lukaku this summer after losing a player of similar ilk, we'd have looked very strong coming into this.
Yeah.
How you now sign somebody of that ilk in January, is that possible? Not sure. I'd like to see us try, even if it's someone older, like one of those Henrik Larsson kind of signings. How fucking good is Wan-Bissaka, says Travis.
He's ridiculous.
Cult favourite inside a month?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily.
Today. David the God says, what is Cam's thoughts on the game? Cameron, would you like to come and give your thoughts on the game, or are you sulking in the corner still?
I said that we'd slap him.
He says he needs to produce. So you make your own mind up. Clayton says, thoughts on Martial pointing to his number for the celebration. Oh, didn't see that. Love it. Brilliant. Well done. How quickly did my pants come off? Or they were ready to come off if we'd have got a fifth. How many pants still on after 3-0? There was like this weird shock from everyone. Like everyone's faces weren't like, yes, we've scored. They was like, oh my God, what's going on? And I like that. I like the innocence in that.
Yeah.
Matt says, is our defence potentially the best we've had since the 2009 Champions League, considering Rio and Vida peaked at that point? I think I will say yes, but you can't compare the defence now to defence then. I will just say yes, it probably is the best defence we've had since then, because we haven't really had a good defence since then. I mean, what season was it? Was it Louis' last season where like Chris Smalling and Daley Blind looked quality together, but I still don't think they was this good. Honey Mustard Goat, what are the major areas we could improve? Because to be honest, Chelsea took their chances, would have been totally different. I think we lack quality in midfield. We said it in the car, didn't we? If we had brought in somebody like Christian Eriksen, that would have been brilliant. He's not the aggressive, ball-winning sort of box-to-box midfielder you get in Herrera. But if we'd just gone Ben Yedder, Eriksen, you're looking at this team now going, well,
I really think we should have got Ben Yedder, in my opinion. He's looked sharp as well when he's come back to Sevilla in pre-season, which is disappointing that we've not picked him up. But Eriksen, I do agree with you, because he gives us tactical flexibility, doesn't he? Because he can play a 4-3-3. We've seen him play in a more of sort of a conservative role last season for Spurs. And if you want to go to a 4-2-3-1, you could do that as well. So
you can push him up into the hole.
Yeah,
and it also takes that creative responsibility away from Pogba.
Exactly, yeah.
And then you go, now who do we mark? And you end up leaving one of them free, and they end up going creating. That's what a good team has. That's what Leicester City have got now.
Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne.
You mark one of them, someone's going to do you. Here's an interesting question from Jamie Laffers. It says, what changes, if any, would you make to the starting lineup versus Wolves? Haven't seen the Wolves game today. They played early kickoff, didn't they? Was it against Leicester? Was it 0-0? I think it was 0-0.
No. Oh, no.
Haven't seen them. Haven't seen them on pre-season. Haven't
so,
seen... I think was it a VAR job?
Yeah, I think VAR.
So I'll try and check them out. What day are we on? Sunday. Tomorrow. I will try and watch before we go and do it tomorrow. I think... did it seem to you that Pogba played much deeper, almost like a CDM role at times, says Josh? Yeah, well, that's the 4-2-3-1 move, isn't it, where you've got two sort of sixes.
He just wasn't good at it in the first half, that's all.
Oh, here we go. We got a bearer of bad news here. Ryan says, hate to be negative, but we look shocking in the midfield. Scoreline doesn't reflect the performance. We struggle to hold possession. Is that down to be the first game of the season, lacking match sharpness, or is it down to a lack of transfers and letting Herrera go? I'd say it's more than that. And I'd say it's that we didn't want the ball. I think if you'd have watched the preview that I give you, I literally said in the preview, Chelsea are going to have more possession with us.
Yeah.
We're going to give them possession, because when you give them possession, they're going to come over the halfway line. When they come over the halfway line, you use your pace to get in, because our pace is better than their pace, certainly attack versus defence-wise. There has to be a give and a take. Sometimes if your team's awesome, like City's is, they just go, we're around fucking 70% possession against everyone. Well, we ain't City.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to do a little bit of a give and take. Today we decided to give them possession.
I think having
to take them on.
Having Maguire and Lindelof instantly gives you that assurance to, you know what, teams can come at us. And today proved that, because, De Gea as well, he made a couple of good saves, and having that defensive assurance.
Didn't it? Wasn't it good to see him back up? Not to his best, but it felt like Dave was back.
Confidence, that dominance in his own box was there.
Blake says, what is the purpose of Andreas? What, in like a philosophical sense, or like... I thought he was a good player today. The reason that I thought he was in the team, when I saw the team sheet, I was like, Andreas is in there. I thought it was for a final ball, because I think he's got a better final ball than Dan James. I thought that was one of the things that we were seeing from him. Didn't really see that from him. Like you said, we saw a lot of hard work from him, though, which you can't really argue. Best and worst players...
Shaw, for me, was probably worse than the first.
I don't want to call it worst, but I thought there was more mistakes in his positioning than
I'd say
anybody else.
Mistakes in positioning. I think that first 10-15 minutes, do you remember us getting hammered down that side? Every time, mate, come on.
What should be our midfield setup going forward, says Seb. I think it's got to be flexible. I don't think you can have a cookie-cutter answer for this. I think you've got to pick and choose it. Today I wanted to see Lingard, for the pressing reasons, in the 10, which is what we saw. Against Wolves,
Probably Mata, maybe.
Probably similar, actually. I think maybe against Wolves goes similar, yeah. And then it was at Crystal Palace the week after.
Actually, yeah.
Mata against Crystal Palace.
Because Wolves, I remember us like needing that press, and we just didn't have that.
Was it a case of United being great or Chelsea being awful in the second half?
I think it was. I think it was us. I think that third goal, you could see that the players growing to even Greenwood, Wan-Bissaka, all wanted the ball.
How amazing is the bond and unity of the squad? The start of something special. We didn't even play to the best of our ability. Yeah, I think that's something that we've got, and maybe that's one of the reasons for bringing in a full Brexit sort of side, is that we've got players that all speak the same language, have all had similar sort of upbringings, and they can all go and sort it out. That's my delivery if someone wants to go and get that for us, because I think Jaden's not here, is he? How good is it to be... No one moved, by the way. It's all right. Someone go get the food. Brilliant scoreline today and great atmosphere in North Stand. Am I confident with that midfield 3 away at Wolves next week? I'm gonna have to, like I said, I'm gonna have to look at it. I would say generally would be though. Generally, I think if we lined up with the same 11, don't think I'd be overly asked.
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah, I think we'd line up with the same 11 against Wolves.
James says how good is it to feel to have defenders? Oh, it does feel good to have defenders. Is the Prem ready for AM9? I think it's going to be interesting. There's going to be a shootout, I think, with Pogba, with Tony Martial and Marcus. I think it's going to be really interesting.
You don't think they can work it together like they did in that second half?
Yeah.
Because they fed off each other, so I don't think one of them's going to be like, oh, this is my role.
Andreas got an assist today, but apart from that, what did he bring to the team? Again, I thought it was mostly off the ball, considering we was mostly off the ball. He did get involved in that link-up play a little bit, but I would have expected a bit more from him. Maybe, I mean, I did notice this as well a little bit at times. We still drifted to the left. We still tended to favour the left-hand side. We haven't got any pass maps and stuff today. I'm hoping that by the end of the month we've got something really special for you. But the average position in my head from Andreas was a bit central, and I would like him to have stayed a bit wider to help Wan-Bissaka, to help when we're trying to attack. And I think if you do that, we're happy days. How great was Harry and Wan-Bissaka? Yeah, Harry was the vocal lead we needed. Yes, there was a few times that I saw him bollock people for doing stuff, and a few times I saw him asking for stuff, which I really
already, man. He's only been here for a few days.
Yeah, and not even trained too much. How do I feel about United sitting back and letting the opposition play around our half with us just chasing it? Felt like a bit of a joke at times. We're not a perfect team, and I think that's our way of managing the game.
It's going to take time. And it could have been a tactical thing, like you said.
Cod says, feels like we've had the all clear from gonorrhea with Wan-Bissaka and Aaron Maguire. Not been to an opening day for a while, but it felt like a better atmosphere, don't you think? Yeah, and I think the new Red Army thing that they've got, which is just below us in...
it was next to me,
Stretford End.
Right next to me. I'm buzzing with that.
It was loud in the first half at the start of the game. I think the shape of the stand means I didn't hear the best of it, you know. Yeah. But yeah, it seemed like it was kicking. Is there any way to set up tactically to prevent us being overrun in midfield, especially when we're going to get Wolves next week, who overran us last season, even before we lost Herrera? Yes, I think we do the same sort of thing, is that we get behind the ball and we go as a unit, and then we look to try and attack them. Sometimes you're just going to come up against a better midfield.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case, especially if Jota drops in, or he'll give us trouble.
Ant says Lampard can stick that up his arse, a smug cunt. Fair enough. No Gomez on the bench. Does that solidify the loan rumours, or is that something else going on? I'm not sure if they're all going to go now. I think the club still expected 1 or 2 players to come in.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens.
Then again, there was
I'll speak to you lot separately about that this week.
There's only space really for maybe Mata, because if I looked at each position, then you like Simba or Mata, and maybe he's got a plan in Europa for him.
Yeah, maybe that's the case, yeah. And I think that'd be a brilliant opportunity if he takes it. How good did it feel when Rashford stepped up to take the penalty? To be honest, I thought he was going to miss it.
Buzzing. Nah, I knew he'd score it. I just know how
before he moved left, I thought he was going to miss it. When he was just standing there behind it, I was like...
It was the same one against Paris. It was the same stance. He's absolutely brilliant on penalties, man.
Does Pogba fit in a midfield too? I think he can. But he didn't look amazing today. PL Flow says, did we miss Ashley Young's experience today? There was at one point he started warming up and I seen my ass. And then he sat back down again. I was like,
I wanted Greenwood, man. That's why I was pissed.
3 goals from Marcus and Martial. Do you think they have what it takes to lead the line? I think we don't know, but I do think we're going to find out, because I think that what we've had in the past is we've had Zlatan, Rooney, Lukaku, all in their way. They've not been, week in, week out, first choice number 9.
That's true, yeah.
And now they are. And if they don't do it now, well, then we know that they're not good enough. But let's give them the opportunity.
Without a doubt.
DS says on your preview, my predicted starting 11 could switch between 3 formations without changing a player. Did I see anything on the pitch? Can't always tell that Ole's building that into the team. A little bit. I mean, I don't know if you saw this, but there was at times Marcus was coming very central, and it looked like they was playing a pair. They was up against the 2 centre halves. We've already said that we saw Andreas come centrally. When the match kicked off, I was like, oh, it's a 4-2-2. Then Marcus moved out to the left, and it sort of morphed into the 4-3-3. And I was like, oh no, it is a 4-3-3. It was just coincidental positioning from everybody. But I do think that ability to be flexible is going to be massive for us.
Yeah.
And I haven't started looking yet, but I really want to know how we're going to deal with and cope with the likes of Liverpool and City. Because I think we're going to play a very similar way against smaller teams. And we go with someone more like Mata and possibly Angel in that little area in the 10. And in the bigger games, we go with a bit more of a workman-like team.
I think we need a solid midfield 3 in the bigger games. That's why I think we still need a midfielder.
Nicholas has just said that. Do you switch to a 3? I thought he was going to switch to a 3 today. So, yes.
I think we should in the bigger games.
Any possibility of seeing Laird by December? If he keeps up the performances he's had, yes.
Without a doubt, man.
Oh, yes. Can we get this one? Connor, how good was it to see Axel on the bench over Rojo, Jones and Smalling? Brilliant, mate.
I was buzzing with
Third choice centre-half, Axel Tuanzebe.
That sends a message out, doesn't it, man?
Absolutely.
Like, he's my guy.
Love that. Dean, we are seriously in need of a world-class centre-mid. However, for me, I think Pogba needs to be further up and have the defensive mid next to him, next to McSauce. What do you think? Again, we said this in the card, didn't we? We was talking about that Juventus team. Vidal was the legs. Pirlo was the match controller. And then you had the match winner in Paul Pogba. And we don't have that.
It's all about what games it is, because I remember like watching Juventus and those games where Marquisio and Pogba were the pivot, and Pogba was brilliant going forward, but they were playing the regular sides in Serie A, so he was able to do that. We've seen it with the 4-0 FC, didn't we, back in the day? The
Premier League's a little too cut and throat for that, I think. Does Maguire deserve the R-band after that? Let's get a bit chill on that one for now, but I was very impressed. Any players in our current squad you think don't have a future? In the current squad, loads. In the current starting 11? No, I think they're all probably safe, I think.
Yeah, I think they've all got a place in around the squad.
Can Maguire's confidence and the team's confidence in him at the back make up for our midfield consistently? Love the performance, says Patrick. Yes, do you know why? We only saw it out of him today once, and it was effective when he did it, was when he stepped into midfield. And I was looking for him to do that. I was looking for him to drive forward with it, and he didn't do it a lot. But when the one time he did do it, he created an overlap. I think that's really going to help our midfield. Like I said, he's just got to get used to the team and everybody. Rashford often left Luke Shaw isolated 2v1 in the first half, not tracking back against a better team. Could that be an issue? Didn't notice that.
I noticed that. I did really notice that. I think it was more of the way we set up rather than him not wanting to track back, though.
Felt weird having defenders who can pass out of defence. Still got PTSD from Smalling's 180 turn hip breaking passes. Academy products still involved in all of our goals since pre-season. Mint. Wow. I was thinking that today, actually, but I didn't know who put the ball in for Tony Marshall. But you can't argue with that, can you?
Mint,
that's absolutely class. Let's head over to YouTube and see what everybody's saying over on there. We have got Shaw is shaky and maybe slowish, says Abhishek. I sort of said it a lot in the in pre-season. I think he's now our weak link, because you can't really attack Wan-Bisakka because he's great. So I think teams are going to go, bollocks, we'll just start attacking Luke Shaw and see what comes from it. Let's get some of the stats that we've got up from today then. So 5 shots from United on target, 42% possession, 3 corners, 2 offsides. Wasn't good enough from corners, I don't think, but we are starting to set Maguire up at the back post and knock it down for people. Something's going to come from that. 15 fouls, 7 shots from Chelsea, 57% possession, 5 corners. United have scored 3+ goals versus a top 6 side more times this season than they did last season. That's a great start. Harry Maguire versus Chelsea, 100% attacking aerial duels, 86% pass accuracy, 7 clearances, 4 interceptions, 0 fouls, 0 goals conceded. Lindelof completed more passes versus Chelsea with 54 than any other player, which shows obviously we're happier at the back there. Wan-Bissaka against Chelsea, 100% final third pass accuracy, 100% aerial duels, 86% pass accuracy, 6 tackles won, 3 interceptions, 50% of his take-ons, no fouls committed, which I'm surprised at, 0 goals conceded. Only Wan-Bissaka had more tackles for United than Marcus Rashford.
Yeah.
So even if he wasn't tracking back so much, still put in
high press in
a lot of tackles. Pogba's game by numbers, 11 out of 15 final third passes, 10 recoveries, 4 chances created, 2 assists. That's very interesting. 4 chances created from the 6th position.
Yeah.
Maybe we're being a bit harsh on him.
It's the game, and it's Chelsea, like playing a pivot with him there. I think we'll see that Pogba in a pivot against the regular sides in the Premier League. He'll explode there.
Well, I don't know about you lot, but I think that's about as good as a way that you can start a season that we're ever going to see.
Yeah.
Tons of youth players involved. Tons of youth players coming off the bench.
Finally a good defence.
The defence looking great. Look, this means jack shit if we get beat by Wolves. Yeah. But I feel confident going into it. So I'm going to wrap it up there, but thank you guys for joining us. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. I'll be doing the Paddock Brew tomorrow over on Stretford Paddock. We'll be live at 4 o'clock. If you would like to come and join us, then please head over to Stretford Paddock. It's going to be a podcast that I do on Stretford Paddock every single Monday. We literally sit there with a brew and talk about what's gone on. So I've got a lot of games to watch from this weekend before now and 4 o'clock tomorrow, but we'll be talking about all the games, probably looking at some of the VAR decisions that have happened as well. So welcome to come and join us for that one. Thanks for tuning in and waiting for us to fight all the way through traffic. Do appreciate the support. Great start to the season. Can't see where it takes us. See you in the next one. Laters.